Hi everyone, my name's Natalie Frost from the Sunshine Coast Environment Council. Thank you for joining us for World Environment Day Festival 2020. Each year the Sunshine Coast Environment Council hosts this event. Normally we'd be in a beautiful outdoor space here on the coast, but we've had to mix things up a little bit this year. So we've got an exciting 3 days of digital online content for you to enjoy. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands of the Kabi Kabi Gubbi Gubbi people and pay my respect to elders past, present and future. Now we're going to be joined by ABC Radio's Annie Gaffney for the exclusive global book launch of Saving Sun Bears. Hi, Annie.
Hi, everyone. It's so lovely to be here. I'm the mornings presenter for ABC Sunshine Coast and Queensland, Australia, and welcome to Sarah Pye's global book launch of Saving Sun Bears, her beautiful book, which has just arrived hot off the press this week in Australia. And I know you're going to learn a lot about it with me today. As we open the Sunshine Coast Environment Council's World Environment Day celebrations, they partner up with so many good partners to bring this event. It's been 40 years running, so it's a big year for the festival this year. It could be the longest running festival in the world, but certainly in Southeast Queensland. And we're here to make it bigger than Ben-Hur this year as we kick off with Sarah's book launch. Over the course of this next hour and a half, as we celebrate biodiversity in all its forms, that's the theme of World Environment Day this year. It's a perfect day for a book launch like this one, because Saving Sun Bears, the name of Sarah's book, is a story about one man's quest to acknowledge the biodiversity on Earth and in particular the plight of the world's smallest bear. So over the course of the next hour and a half, you're going to meet the author. I'm going to have a chat to Sarah Pye very soon. You'll also meet the hero of this story, Dr Wong Siew Te. We'll meet the publisher who's taken on the publication of this really interesting book, which is also steaming up the charts now in Amazon. Just the other day, it hadn't even arrived here in Australia and it was number 3 on the charts for bear biodiversity. So that's pretty cool. And we'll also have lots of giveaways too. So stay listening for those, because if you want to get your hands on a copy of this beautiful book, then you need to put your full name in the comments as you listen along on Facebook or YouTube this afternoon. And don't forget, you can ask some questions as well of our guests that I'll be interviewing today. So feel free to get those into us and we'll be drawing some winners along the way and tell you how you can get your hands on a copy of the book as well. So welcome to you all this afternoon as we kickstart the celebrations for the 40th year of World Environment Day on the Sunshine Coast and the global launch of Sarah Pye's beautiful book, Saving Sun Bears. Now, let's take a look at a video that will give you a bit of an insight into this story and how it developed.
Welcome to Borneo. This dense rainforest acts as the lungs of our planet. It is also home to the threatened Malayan sun bear. Adult sun bears are killed for their gallbladder and paws, ingredients in Chinese medicine. Traumatized orphaned cubs are abandoned or sold into the illegal pet trade. Dr. Wong, the Malaysian founder of the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Center, is on a quest to save the world's smallest bear from extinction and release rescued bears back into the wild. Join Australian author Sarah Pye on a heartwarming journey through his extraordinary life and meet sun bear characters who owe him their freedom. This is his story and theirs.
A little sneak peek into the incredible journey of Dr. Wong Siew Te, and Sarah Pye from University of the Sunshine Coast is the author of Saving Sun Bears, which chronicles Wong's incredible journey. Sarah, congratulations, and great to have you to chat to for the next 10 minutes or so. What a beautiful looking book, and I'm halfway through it already.
Thank you so much, Annie. This is a big milestone for me and for Wong and the Sun Bears.
Indeed. Now, I've been chatting to you and Wong probably since 2012 when this journey all started. We've been catching up over the years to find out a little bit more about the various milestones in Wong's journey and your interaction with him, because there's quite a big backstory here. So let's go back in time to 2012. How did you meet Wong?
I first went to Borneo because I wanted to see orangutans in the wild, and I had a wonderful experience with orangutans. But I was privileged to be able to meet Dr. Wong on that first visit. And the moment I saw sun bears hanging in the trees and playing in the rain, I think I lost my heart to sun bears. I also was just amazed by Wong's commitment to this species, and I felt like I wanted to do what I could to help. I asked what I could do, and he said to me, do what you do best. So that sort of led me on a 7-year journey to this place, including a lot of other connections with the university, and leading a PR team in 2014, which also created an adoption program for the sun bears. All those things of which you've been part of, Annie. So it's lovely to have you here today.
What was it about the world's smallest bear, the sun bear, that really connected with you, Sarah?
I was amazed with the bear. I think bears have a sort of a narrative connection to people because we've all had teddy bears and things like that in our youth. But sun bears are different because they're so arboreal, and they climb 40 meters in the air, and they swing from the vines, and they play, and they've all got individual personalities. So they're absolutely a heart stopper, really, when you see them actually in the wild or in the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre, where they're as close to the wild as they can be. It's just amazing to watch.
Now, you've been back several times since, in part to research this story, but as you said, to take your students back there. So tell us how you found that connection between the University of the Sunshine Coast and the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre.
I first introduced Wong to the University of the Sunshine Coast after that trip in 2012. That's led to the university creating all the interpretive signage at the centre. It led to that adoption program, other research projects, and Wong was named an honorary doctorate at USC 2017. So that was a really nice sort of icing on the cake. And then it led to me asking him in 2016, can I please tell your story? And I've actually done that as part of a Doctor of Creative Arts. So it's been a 4-year journey. And I got to say, Anne, it's probably the most exciting doctorate that I think I've heard anyone has had.
You've, through that time and going back to Malaysia, where Wong is from, and back to his home country, his province of Penang, you've got to know so much more about this remarkable hero who is known as Papa Bear. What did you find out about him as a young boy that might give us all a sneak peek into the man who has evolved today to be so caring and so concerned about the plight of the sun bear?
I learned that Wong has always been connected to the environment through pets, through fish, through all sorts of things. From a very, very early age, he was rescuing small birds from the gutters and raising them and releasing them. So I think it's something a bit innate in Wong's personality to be connected. I've learned so much about the environment through Wong, and not just about sun bears. I've learned about the whole biodiversity of the Bornean rainforest and how important it is. So it's been an incredible journey, which ended for me in actually helping release 2 rescued bears back into the wild.
What was that experience like?
It was rather like being Jane Goodall for a few minutes, I must admit. It was probably way up on the top of my bucket list of things I thought I would never do but would have loved to do. So we actually took two rescued bears who had been selected for release because they were of a stage where they knew enough about being a wild bear to live back in the wild. We drove them through the night to a helicopter pad. Then, as you saw in the footage just now, we flew them to the middle of the Tarbin National Park, put them down on a mud volcano with elephant footprints all over the place, and released them. So it was absolutely an incredible moment that I certainly will never forget.
You're hoping through your book to connect other people to that same kind of feeling that you had yourself by that hands-on involvement with the bears sanctuary. You spent time cutting up their food and learning just what it takes to look after these animals in a sanctuary setting. But then I guess the goal is always to release them into the wild if possible. How will people be able to get that feeling from your book, do you think?
Well, I'm hoping with the book, it connects people with that idea of the importance of wildlife and the importance of our environment. But I also hope it connects them with the idea that one person can make a difference when it comes to the environment. I think we've come to a place where we're quite apathetic in how we react to our environment. And not everyone can go to Borneo. Not everyone can interact with sun bears directly. But we have issues on the Sunshine Coast that need addressing. We have issues that everywhere, wherever people are tuning in from. We've got people, I think, tuning in from the US, from the UK, from Malaysia. Anything that people can do is worthwhile. So those powerful words that Wong started me with, of do what you do best, I'd like to throw those out to everyone. And I hope that this narrative sort of connects people with that idea and gives them a little bit of an impetus to make their own change.
As you were writing this book, how often did you, or perhaps you didn't, but tell me about the style that you've used in this book, because it does flip back in time towards Wong's upbringing and some fantastic stories which really do take us right into the bosom of his family and learn about his mother and the work ethics that he grew up with, etc. So tell us how you ended up deciding on the narrative structure of this book.
Well, I've started the book with a connection with sun bears, and then gone back in time to Wong's childhood. So it starts with the man that we know, and then work back to how he actually got to that stage. But in that process, I learned so much about various cultures, about Malayan culture, about Malaysian culture, and about Taoist culture, about Chinese Malay culture, all sorts of different things. And I've tried to integrate those through the story and take people on a bit of a cultural journey as well as an environmental one. I think I found along the way that so many of the narratives that we read about environmentalists are about white Western people who go into another culture and save the wildlife. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's some, those people provide a lot of inspiration for us. But Wong's story is unique because he is a Malaysian Chinese man working in his own culture, in his own rainforest, to save a species that is called the Malayan sun bear. So I think that story is unique.
It certainly is. At what point did you think that's going to be my thesis? That's going to be a book, this story of Wong's?
I went back to front, I must admit, because I asked Wong if he would allow me to tell his story, and then tried to figure out how I was going to do that. That led me to do it as a doctorate, because I could have the support of the university behind me. I could have a little bit of, I was actually honoured to have a scholarship from the federal government. So I started back to front. It's sort of the opposite of most doctoral students, but it worked for me.
It's a beautiful story, and I love the way that you have, as you said, incorporated all these different cultural elements in there. I'm learning so much about this little boy and what has shaped him into the kind, caring adult that he seems to be. I've met Wong in person. I've had the privilege of meeting him here in our studios at ABC Sunshine Coast. And it's not, it's very easy to be galvanized by his quest, because he's just so passionate and enthusiastic about it. And we're going to speak to Wong very soon and learn a little bit more about that. But if you could hope for one thing to come out of this book, Sarah, what are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for people to take that baton and run with it and help something in their local area in the environment. I'd like to see that when I've got children one day, grandchildren, one day, I'd like there still to be koalas on the Sunshine Coast. I'd like there still to be sun bears in Borneo, and I'd like there to be orangutans. So I hope that everybody who listens today or reads the book feels a little bit enabled to make their own change.
What about your students there at University of the Sunshine Coast? How has it changed their lives? Because many of them went to the sanctuary as well to visit it and see how their public relations campaign to help marketing with the not-for-profit sanctuary increase its raising and awareness. How did they respond to being there?
Yeah, absolutely. Many of them have actually kept in contact with the Sunbear Centre and gone on to work in public relations in environmental areas. You'll hear in a minute from Sarah Manns, who worked at Australia Zoo for a while and then worked in other environmental areas. Chrissy Morris, who was part of that team in Borneo for the Sunbear adoption program, is actually helping run this event today. So it all these little crumbs sort of lead in different places, don't they?
They sure do. Well, what a wonderful little trail that you've started with your book. I know it's been many years in the making, really, this Saving Sun Bears. So let people, get behind it and find out more about really an incredible man who is just working tirelessly to save the world's smallest bear. And we're going to learn a little more about his journey very soon, Sarah. Congratulations. And I'll be catching up and Wong together a little bit later in our book launch today. And don't forget, if you've got any questions that you'd like to put to Sarah, you're most welcome to ask them. Just post your comments on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're listening this afternoon and looking on. And we're very happy to put those to Sarah and Wong when we catch up with them a little bit later. Now, we are going to catch up with you, Sarah, and a reading from what you kindly offered to give us a little taste of what we might experience when we read Saving Sun Bears.
I have. I'm actually going to read from the first page of Saving Sun Bears because I think it gives you a sort of an idea about where we're going with the book. So this is from chapter 1, and chapter 1 is titled Natalie. May 16th, 2015 was Wong's birthday, and his dreams were about to come true. Yet emotions seldom travel alone, so he also suppressed a sadness as he prepared to say farewell to a close friend. Wong hoped he would never see her again and took a few minutes to say his goodbyes before moving to a safe distance. The translocation cage had been tipped 90 degrees on its side, and he knew once he pulled the rope in his sweaty hand, there was no turning back. He glanced at his watch, 10:40 a.m., then tugged. The door slid open and 5-year-old Natalie dashed about 10 meters. She slowed as her brain unpicked the unfamiliar concoction of odors accosting her nostrils. The unnatural smell of sanitized human skin behind her mixed with the organic, almost pulsating essence of crunchy leaf litter. A strange underlying note tugged at something deep within her subconscious. The scent of mineral-rich mud transported her back to a time walking beside her mother, and she crinkled her nose as she sauntered deeper into the undergrowth, savoring the olfactory brew at the back of her throat. Deep green was the color of belonging, and she climbed towards it. Within minutes, she was free.
That does really give you an incredible sense of the environment there in Borneo that these bears live in, because it really is, without that forest, they don't have a home, do they? It's so important for them to keep the environment intact.
Yes, the things that some bears are suffering from is habitat loss. They're poached for illegal body parts, and they're also sold into the illegal pet trade. So those are things that we need to combat.
Sarah, we've been wondering if people wanted to get their hands on a copy of Saving Sun Bears, and we've asked them to post their full name on the comments section on Facebook or YouTube, wherever they're joining us this afternoon. So are you ready to give away a book yet?
I'm really excited to give away a book. Perhaps this one, hey? Emily is my intern who's working on this project with me, and to keep social distancing, she's going to hand me an envelope out of camera. So sorry you won't get to meet Emily, but here she is. Do you know what? I'm feeling really generous today. We're going to actually do 2. How's that? So our first winner today is Patrice Tulai from the United States. That's wonderful. We've got people from the United States here. So Patrice, if you're listening, congratulations. If you're not, then you probably have entered prior to this event. We had a Facebook, a way to actually enter on Facebook as well. So Patrice is our first winner. And we got another one to go. Second winner is from Malaysia. So it's Kong Hock Yun. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm going to spell it. KHONGHOCK Jun. So there's our second winner of a book of Saving Sun Bears. Congratulations.
Congratulations to both of those winners, and there'll be more little giveaways throughout our program of events this afternoon as we celebrate World Environment Day with the book launch of Saving Sun Bears. And one of the ways that you can do that actually is sing along to a very special song, which we'll be hearing a little bit later, Sarah, called Calling on You. And at any stage over the next few days, if you just want to post a little video of yourself up on social media with the hashtag Calling on You, playing along to the chords and singing some of the chorus to that song, you could be in the running for a wonderful prize pack as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see how many people you get strumming along with Sarah over the next few days.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you
looking
so
forward
much.
to that.
Me too. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce you to the hero of Sarah's story. And this is Dr. Wong Siew Te, who has been working tirelessly as an ecologist and wildlife biologist. So let's meet Dr. Wong now.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Annie. Great to
Hello,
see you.
So excited to be chatting to you this afternoon. How do you feel seeing your beautiful book that Sarah's created about your journey now in hardback? Here it is. How's that?
Yes, well, although I haven't have the hard copy yet, but I know I'm very emotional. I keep on, wiping my tears, coming up from here and there. Yeah, it's a very special moment for us. So thank you very much for hosting this wonderful event. And thank you, Sarah, for writing my journey in 50 years in one book. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be here for all of you today and help you launch this beautiful book. You're an ecologist and wildlife biologist. Did you ever think as a young boy, keeping fish and, fishing for guppies in the local stream and helping save little local birds and taking them home and nurturing them, that you would end up one day the subject of a book and I guess working with one of the threatened species of the world? Could you have imagined that for yourself, Wong?
Well, during that time, I do not never know that I will come this far. What I know at the time is I always want to work with animals. I want to be an animal expert since I was 7 or veterinarian. At the time, I never know that, this whole journey can lead me to what I am today. But I think, my interest is always very strong and like to work with animals, like to care, like to help animals as much as I can. And I think, maybe the gods saw my inner hearts and paved the road to what I am today. So I'm very thankful for everybody who has helped my journey to be what I am today. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Wong, yes, sometimes your connection is lagging a little bit behind. So I'm just going to ask you questions and get you to answer.
Sure.
You've spoken passionately there about that inner knowing that your journey in some way was going to be connected with animals. At what point did you come in contact with sun bears for the first time?
Well, I think when I was a kid, my very first image of a sun bear is actually visiting this Penang Botanical Garden. And during my childhood, and at the time, there were 4 sun bears, being displayed in this botanical garden. Although it is a botanical garden, there are sun bears, and also there are a big cage of orangutans. And I think that is the very first contact of me with the sun bears. And at the times, I don't have any special feeling of a sun bear, although I feel like they are very cool animals. They are very, majestic. And then it is not until I was given the opportunity to study sun bear for a master project, then I spent a lot of time reading on them and try to know more about them. And that's how this whole journey started. That was back in 1994.
At a time when really there was very little information around about one of the iconic animals of your country. Why do you think that was, that there wasn't a lot of information and no one had ever studied them before?
Yeah, I think, given that they live in this tropical rainforest in Southeast Asia or tropical forest in Southeast Asia, the work to conduct a research in this kind of forest is extremely difficult. And then given that, in addition, given that they are also not a priority species for conservation compared to rhino, elephants, tiger, orangutans, so there has been ignored, or they have been forgotten for so long. And also, in this part of the world, most of the countries are developing country, and wildlife conservations, unless you pump in a lot of resources from overseas, then it is not a priority for the country, because there are more urgent needs to take care of people, because peoples are still poor, the countries is still developing, that sort of issue. So the combinations of difficulties to conduct study in this rainforest, um, the priority for the countries, and also this animal is extremely elusive. It's very difficult to see one, to observe one, to find one. But for the hunters, they manage to get them. So yeah, so all in all, makes this sun bears the least known bear in the world. And then until I started this research in 1998.
Sun bears, when they're babies, the cubs look so cute, and for that reason, they're often poached and sold on as pets, but they quickly grow. Tell us about, they've got a set of pretty lethal claws, don't they? I mean, they're a dangerous animal.
Yes, they are. They are wildlife. They are not only wildlife, they are carnivores, and they can grow big as myself, 80 kilograms and so on. And then so they are not good pets. I mean, this is a wildlife, and their whole body is equipped with weapon. Their canine can be very strong, very sharp, very big, and their claws is very, very destructive. All of these makes them, I mean, it doesn't make sense to want to keep a sun bear as pet, but yet in this part of the world, there are people want to keep sun bears as pet, although their babies are extremely cute, but the cuteness just lasts a short period of time. And this kind of thing, and on top of that, it is against the law. So all of this information the public needs to know. So we need to tell the story. We need to educate the general public not to keep sun bear. Yes, they are cute when they are little, but you cannot keep a sun bear, period.
And very sadly, when people buy a baby cub, there's often a sad story behind that, isn't there? That the mum has been taken by poachers. What happens to those mums?
Yeah, so just like any other mammals, all infant mammal have to have mom, yeah, to nurse them. I mean, to nurse them, to take care of them, and so on. Same with the sun bear. So for a sun bear, in order for poachers to get a baby cub, the mom has to kill, because the mom would die protecting the cubs. So every time you see a sun bear is being kept as pets or in the market or being sold on the internet, behind this cub, what you don't see is a mom being brutally killed and being butchered and being consumed, gallbladder used as traditional medicines, canine claws used as souvenirs, and meat to be eaten, or the poor considered as delicacy, and so on. So it's a very, very sad thing that you see every time there's a bear's cub showed up.
What was your first experience of seeing a sun bear in the wild like?
Oh, my very first sun bears in the wild was the one that I trapped back in 1999, after spending months and months and trying to trap them. The purpose is to fit a radio collar on the bear so that I can follow the bears in the forest. So seeing a wild sun bears in a trap is like, of course, the adrenaline is have a high surge. My heart is like pounding, but I need to stay calm and then be calm and cool and know exactly what am I going to do next. Sedating the bears, handling the bear, fitted the collar, and then wait until the bears wake up, and then free, and then after that we follow their tail and then start to study them. So it was a very, very excited moment, and it takes years to train me to do what I wanted to do, which is study the sun bears. So that moment is very, very special. I still remember the date is 22nd June 22nd, 1999.
There you go. You've got that date in your mind.
Yes.
How many bears have you now released into the wild, Wong?
Yeah, right now we have released 7 bears back into the wild. And then our center still right now, the Borneo Sun Bear Conservation Center right now have 43 sun bears, and there are few bears on the pipeline that to be released pretty soon. Yeah.
Will all of those bears ultimately be returned to the forest?
No, unfortunately not. Actually, we have quite a few bears that are not release candidate. They have been kept as a pets for a long, long time. So they lost the instinct on foraging in the wild. They lost the they lost the skill, and then some of them, they have been kept in a small cage for many, many years. They can't even climb trees. And then some of them, they are habituated to people because of they have been captured since they were very little. And all in all, there are big numbers of bears at our center that is not suitable to be released back into the wild.
So you must have a big food bill feeding all of these bears.
Yes, I do have it. I do have a big food bill feeding and try to take care of these bears.
We're going to hear a little bit more perhaps about how you look after the bears and raise money for your sanctuary as well a little later in our program this afternoon when I catch up with you and Sarah Pye once again. Thank you so much for speaking with me, Wong. It was really interesting to learn a little bit living sun bears. I want to remind you of the idea of playing along to a beautiful music video that you're about to hear this afternoon. And this is your chance to win a really great prize pack today as part of the Saving Sun Bears book launch. So Amir Yusuf wrote this song called Calling on You, and it was about raising money for Wong's sanctuary in Borneo for the sun bears. And it's become an anthem for the planet. Now, I'd like to get Amir to introduce his song this afternoon, and very soon you'll hear from a ukulele teacher, Melinda Wells, who's going to sing it. And I'm challenging you to play along with this song. You can download the lyrics and the chords and post on social media over the course of the next few days with the hashtag Calling on You, and we'd love to send out a prize pack your way for the best performance. So I'll leave that one to the judges. You've got plenty of time to get your entry in. And the chorus is available at wed.org.au, that's World Environment Day, or savingsunbears.com. So get your entries in, and the best rendition is going to win that lovely prize pack of a book and a T-shirt. Let's hear from Amir Yusuf now about his song.
Hi, Amir Yusuf here. I'd like to introduce Melinda and friends who are going to compose a song I wrote called Calling on You. They're going to do their own version. I'm looking forward to hearing it one day. And it's a song I wrote to help raise funds for the Malayan sun bear at the launch of the the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Center in Sandakan in Sabah. It was years ago, and I've released a song. It's called Calling on You. We've tweaked it a bit, and it's now a song about the whole planet and how maybe we can listen to her a bit more. I hope you enjoy listening to this rendition, and you guys have a great event. Take care. Bye.
We're not so different, you and I. Blood in our veins and fear in our eyes. And all we've been given is some time. You make your decision about mine. Do you think that's right? Do you think that's right? sunshine and stone. It's not what it seems, and it's all around. And it lets you fly without leaving the ground. And it's right, this is right. Calling on you now. Calling on you, can you help me somehow? Look at the truth and look at the lies. Calling on you one more time. Calling you now. Calling on you, will you help me somehow? Look at the truth and look at the lies. I'm calling on you, help me survive. Give me more time, give me what's mine.
A beautiful song there. Wasn't that gorgeous? By Amir, as performed by Melinda Wells, Calling on You. And don't forget to get your own version into us using the hashtag Calling on You on social media. Send us a little video, and over the next few days we'll compile all of those, and the judges will decide who gets that nice prize pack, the t-shirt and the book Saving Sun Bears. I'm Annie Gaffney. Great to be with you this afternoon for the book launch of Sarah Pye's Saving Sun Bears book, and we're getting lots of people listening from around the world this afternoon, so hello to all of you. And I will put your questions to Sarah and Wong in just a short time. But first of all, let's meet the man who decided to publish Sarah's book. Dr. Marshall Moore runs Signal 8 Press from Hong Kong, and it's my great pleasure to welcome Marshall this afternoon.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Marshall. Great to catch up with you. You're an independent publisher, and up until a short time ago, you published books very much along the veins of East meets West. So tell us a little bit more about the reasons for forming Signal 8 Press.
Well, starting about maybe 11, 12 years ago, I had just been, because I'm an author myself, I was a writer first, and so I've had different experiences with publishers along the way. And when I moved to Hong Kong 12 years ago, I began to think there was an opportunity here because there weren't very many presses publishing in English. Digital technology, ebooks were taking off, and it seemed like a confluence of things that were kind of pushing me in the direction of starting a press. And I also felt that as the world has kind of shifted more and more attention toward the Asia Pacific region, there needed to be more publishers out there trying to bridge the gap between all the really interesting stuff happening here in Asia and then readers in other parts of the world who might want to know about it. And it just kind of all came together.
You met Sarah, I understand, in London. Tell us about that connection, how you met and why your interest was piqued in her book, Saving Sun Bears.
The conference itself, it's called Great Writing Conference. I'm actually a lecturer at a university here as well, and I teach creative writing. And so the conference was creative writing focused. And Sarah was on, the way it was organized, there were like 3 presentations per panel, and I believe Sarah's panel was focused on creative nonfiction. which is an interest of mine. And then on top of that, Malaysia. I've been visiting Malaysia for 20 years, even before I moved to Asia. So I have kind of a long connection and affection for the place. And so I was really interested to see what this presentation would be about. And so while I was watching Sarah's presentation, about what became the book, I was thinking, oh my God, I have to publish this. I have to speak to this lady. So I kind of hung out after all the panelists were finished, and I went up and introduced myself. I was like, hi, I run a press. I want to publish your book.
The thing that I love about Saving Sun Bears is very much the human element that Sarah has injected into this. So we are not just getting a conservation message and learning about the highs and lows of trying to save a species, but we're actually learning a lot of detail about the man and how he was formed, his character, and what influences shaped him, and all of those lovely cultural influences of Penang where he grew up, which I'm so enjoying reading. I feel like I'm immersed in that environment every time Sarah takes us back in time. What was your advice about the manuscript as Sarah was writing it? Were you giving her any tips or anything that you wanted to see in this manuscript? As a fellow writer, did you feel like you had that ability to pass on advice in that sense?
To a very small extent, but not really, to be honest, because she wrote this as a part of her doctorate. And my own PhD is in creative writing as well. And so the way that works is that you do the creative work, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and then you also accompany that with critical academic exegesis, like analyzing the book in its context and its genre, the research that you did, and so on. And so by the time Sarah was at this stage, the writing was pretty much done, which was, again, a real benefit for me because it made it a little bit less work. But yeah, the book was pretty much done. There wasn't that much that really significantly needed to be done with it, apart from some polishing basically toward the end. She'd already done the research. She'd done the bulk of the writing. And if I remember correctly, it was pretty much ready to present it, to finish up the doctorate. It was mostly done. It was the work that we had to do was just sort of punctuation here and there, rearrange a few sentences. It's pretty light.
I note the book is already climbing up the charts on Amazon, and I think it was at number 3 the other day when we were chatting about it with Bear Biology. So what is it about this book that's got people excited, do you think?
Well, what appealed to me, and I think it's going to appeal to everybody, is just the human story in it. Because as much as we all love animals, well, I hope we do. I mean, I do. I have a cat. He'll probably come in and want to see what's going on in a minute. But I think it's not just about the animals, but it is such a human story because it's something that we can really connect with. I mean, Wong has done such a wonderful thing, and there's such a commitment there and a real motivation and passion for what he's doing, which is something that we understand. And something else in it I don't think has really been picked up, but I think Sarah herself as a writer really makes herself vulnerable by doing this because, she's traveling to another country where she doesn't know a lot and she's learning about it and she's learning about sun bears. And so it's really almost 2 intertwined stories where it's not just Wong and his life story, but it's also this kind of discovery process for Sarah. And then from a technical standpoint, the way she's able to weave those stories together is just really fascinating. And it's well written. And I think it's just something people will connect with on a lot of levels.
Do you think also at a time when we seem to be at a tipping point, people are very concerned about climate change and the loss of biodiversity around the world, that there's a thirst for these kind of books that are I guess highlighting that issue, but through a very personal lens?
I think so. And I think in a way that's probably the best weapon that we have as we're trying to combat that, because it's, we can read the news, we can read the articles about the big picture, but when we can really see it from such a personal standpoint of what people are doing and sacrificing and actually how they're affected by these things, I think that it'll really drive it home to people. And I hope help encourage them to take some concrete steps.
Well, I know that people already are leaving comments saying, Sarah, what are you going to write next now? So have you got Sarah targeted for another book yet, Marshall?
Oh, I hope so. But no, I mean, just part of the way we work, where if she wants to submit her next book to us, she can do that. If she wants to send it to another publisher, she's free to do that as well. But I'm just like, hey, yeah, we're still here. We haven't forgotten about you.
Have you been able to go to Borneo and see the sanctuary yourself? I mean, how immersed have you got into this story on a personal level?
No, I haven't. I've been to Malaysia, but it's always been peninsular Malaysia. So I've been up and down. I've been to Penang. I love Penang too. But I've been, KL, Malacca, but just that side of Malaysia. I haven't made it to Borneo yet.
Well, it's such a beautifully produced book and a deeply personal story, both, as you said, for Wong and for Sarah as well, both of their journeys twinning up in this book. What would you say for would be, creative writers out there who would like to have a go at publishing? What kind of stories are you looking for at the moment, Marshall, beyond these kind of foundation stories?
Well, in general, what we focus on with Signal 8 Press, I like to jokingly call it West meets East, because I'm an American guy living in Hong Kong, and I was in Korea for several years before that. So I really do love this part of the world. And so if you're writing something kind of Asia focused, and you have a manuscript, yeah, we'd love to hear from you. One other project that we're starting is going to be called Gutter Stars Press, and it's just going to be LGBT focused, because there's a few presses out there doing that, but not as many of them as there used to be, and some of them are quite niche. And so we feel like there's some room there for LGBT interest work that's probably not finding a publisher. And so that's something else that we're actively on the lookout for at the moment. And other than that, just keep writing, keep editing, keep polishing.
Good advice to budding writers everywhere. Marshall, so lovely to meet you this afternoon, and you've played a great role in bringing Sarah and Wong's story to light this afternoon in saving sun bears. So thank you so much. I imagine that you're living in interesting times there in Hong Kong right now, given everything we're seeing unfold on our TV. So it must be interesting being a little niche publisher there.
I could do one of those Justin Trudeau pauses right now. Let's just pretend that I did. Yeah, it's been interesting, and I know what tear gas smells like now.
Marshall Moore, lovely to meet you this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now let's hear from some people around the globe who've had a part to play in Sarah and Wong's story as we hear some of their words of encouragement and support.
Hi, I'm Tai Lim. I work at the Borneo Sun Bear Conservation Center with Wong. One of the things I do is help release bear like Natalie, Debbie, and Damai. You can read all about those released in chapter 1 and 16. You can also read about my adventures trying to find Natalie's collar in the middle of rainforest in chapter 1.
And I'm Ling Mei. I also work at BSPCC. I look after new arrival cubs like Noah and Nano and teach them the skill they need in the wild. You can read more in chapter 7.
Hi guys, my name's Chris Morgan. I'm an ecologist and wildlife documentary filmmaker and podcaster with an organisation called Uproar. And I first met Wong well over a decade ago when we were filming a feature-length documentary called Bear Trek that Wong was in, and it featured conservation heroes working around the world on bears. And of course, Wong is one of those very special individuals, so we became firm friends. You can read all about our adventures making Bear Trek with Wong in Borneo in chapter 10 of Sarah's book. Hope you enjoy it.
My name is Sarah Manns, and when I was a public relations student at USC, I was given the amazing opportunity to help design a sun bear adoption program for Wong. You can read all about how we launched the program across 2 continents in chapter 12. Along the way, I fell in love with sun bears, and I'm so excited that the rest of the world now has the chance to do the same.
Hi everyone, I'm Wang's wife Jia Qian.
And I'm his daughter Winnie.
We are sorry we can't be there to celebrate the launch of Sun Bears today with you, but you can read all about us in the book.
I'm really proud of the work my dad does. I hope when you read the book, you are too. Without everything he does, perhaps there wouldn't even be sun bears. So go read the book and you won't regret it.
Oh, they are your greatest advocates, Dr. Wong. Thank you so much to everyone for passing on those congratulations. And we're getting some great comments and questions coming in, including news from one of our viewers who tells me that the book is now already #1 in Bear Biology on Amazon. So going up the charts there, Sarah Pye. Let's welcome back the author, Sarah Pye, and the hero of her book, Dr. Wong, now, so that we can ask them some more of your questions this afternoon as we launch Saving Sun Bears. Welcome back to both of you.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Annie.
How do you feel about that, Sarah, that news, and Wong?
That's awesome news. Like that one.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful.
That's a really great development. I wanted to put some of the questions to you both that have been coming in this afternoon. And Chris has got a couple of questions for you, Wong. He says, what is the diet of the sun bear? What do they eat?
Well, in the wild, they eat, well, they are bears, they are omnivores. They eat everything that they can find in the forest. So when they can find fruits in the forest, they will eat all different kind of fruits, more than 100 species of fruits that we know of that the sun bear feed on. And then when fruits is not available, then they feed on a wide variety of invertebrates, from termites, ants, beetles, beetle larvae, earthworms, honey, and then you name it, anything that moves is sun bear's diet. They also eat meat, but they are not a good predators. So if they can come across a slow-moving meat like a small tortoises, or big tortoises in the forest, they will go and chill on it. They are not a good hunter. That's what I can say. So they are very, very diverse. And then lately we know that bears live close to the coastal or mangrove area. They feed on snail, possibly crab as well, and anything that they can find. So it's a very, very amazing animals that can have this kind of wide adaptation. So for any species that have this kind of dietary preference, they should be the one can make it to our world for a long, long time. But unfortunately, what have we done to our forests, and that all would reduce the numbers of the bears. Yeah.
Are there different species of sun bear? Chris wants to know.
Oh, sun bears is one genus, one species, but two subspecies. So the sun bear found in Asia mainland and Sumatra is called Helarctos malayanus. So they are the Malayan sun bear, which is much bigger, which is double the size of what we have here in Borneo. The Bornean sun bear is Helarctos malayanus eurispilus. So one species, but two subspecies.
Okay. Sarah, did you get to see, sun bears eating in the wild? Like, how far into the journey were you able to go into the forest to track some of the sun bears that you released? What's been your experience of the bears in the wild?
No, I haven't actually experienced bears in the wild, except for that one experience of actually releasing them in the wild. As Wong will attest to, they're very, very elusive creatures. So it actually took him in years and years of trying to trap bears. He was only able to trap 6 bears in the wild. So they're very, very hard to find in the wild. And that's what makes the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre such an amazing place. It includes an enclosure, which is part of the national park. So the bears that are saved from are in captivity, but they're not really in a captive situation. They're in a natural rainforest environment, and you can see them doing all the things that they normally would do in the wild, only in an area that humans can actually experience as well.
Dale's written an interesting question here. He says, Wong, was it scary entrusting your story to Sarah?
I won't listen, Wong.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah and I spend so much time Skyping every week for years, for at least 2 years, I think.
It felt like years, did it?
Yeah, it has become my weekly routine. Okay, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, it's time to Skype Sarah, And
Yep.
then they would ask me what's happening over the weeks, and sometimes she have a list of questions to ask me. It's from my childhood, from the years before. I have to memorize. I have to dig out some old pictures. And then I think Sarah did a great job on interviewing the people of my family and try to get the story out. You know, when I first read the manuscript or the story for the very first time, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, seems like Sarah was with me when I was little, and she was just like beside me and observing and take down all the notes of, you know, how can she did it. I think she did a great job on doing that. And I also told that story to my family as well. I said, you know, wow, you know, when Sarah described my dad during my childhood, it seems like she was there. So it's quite a spooky experience. So good job.
It took a lot of talking to many different people. So I actually interviewed about 50 people for this book. Many of them Wong's colleagues, Wong's friends, Wong's family. I had an amazing experience in Penang, going to a dinner with all Wong's siblings, and he's got plenty of them. So it was quite an impressive experience, which actually makes it into the book. Me having dinner with the whole family was a cultural enigma, really, which I loved.
And apparently, Sarah, Wong's a very good cook. What can you tell us?
Oh, you know, I think we're lucky that Wong wasn't born in this era, because if he was, he wouldn't be into wildlife. He'd actually be the Gordon Ramsay or something of Asia. I think if there was such a thing as celebrity chefs, when Wong was a kid, he would have been a celebrity chef. So Wong, I'm going to embarrass you, Wong, because when I'm staying at Wong's house, he sets himself 1 hour to cook dinner. And what comes out of his kitchen in 1 hour is what would probably take me about a week to cook.
I've heard your dumplings are very good, Wong.
Okay. Yeah, actually, it was quite good. You can learn about how I make my dumpling from my YouTube channel. A little advertisement over here.
I want to know how you got the name Papa Bear. That's what people call you, Papa Bear. How did that come about?
Well, I think it was back to 2012 when I was working, or 2012, yeah, when I was working, when we have rescued Mary. And then Mary at the time was a tiny little small cubs, and then I worked in the forest. And then at the time, Jason Scott Lee, very well-known actor in Hollywood, and then he came to do a program for the National Geographic Travel. And then so that process of seeing me walking the bears and then take Mary back into the forest just like a father. Well, obviously I'm a male, you know. And then so that process. Wong is just like a Papa Bear. And then later on, several reporters pick up the word using Papa Bear. And then last year, Read the Digest, wrote articles on me, and then it says me as a Papa Bear. So that name's kind of become getting more and more famous, and right now many people refer me as Papa Bear.
That's lovely. Does that make your wife Mama Bear as well?
Yeah, in theory it should be.
Well, don't forget that you've Wong named his daughter Winnie after a bear as well. So yes, it does work.
I was wondering. Sarah, people online are already commenting about how beautifully poignant your book is, and wondering,
thank you,
in the pipeline for you. They're keen to know what else you're going to write.
What am I going to do next? Well, this is, a bit of an exclusive here, because on camera, I'm going to ask Wong. I would very much like to take all the research that I conducted for this book. And this book is obviously focused towards adults, but I feel there's a real need to get children involved in some of these conservation messages. And Wong is also really aware of the entire ecology in Borneo. So I would very much like to take some of the stories about sun bears and other species in the rainforest and write a series of chapter books for children, together with Wong, if he's willing to do that with me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My honor is my great honor. Yes. Actually, we have a lot of story to tell from this part of the world. as you know, of the rainforest is so important to the entire planet's ecosystem, especially right now when we face with all this global climatic change, severe weather patterns, and right now we're dealing with a pandemic. We need to change our attitude, and we need to respect nature more. And the first thing that we need to respect nature more is to know more about the nature, more about our wildlife, know about the rainforest. And Sarah, as a writer, this is what she did best: write about it, let people read about it, and let people start to have that kind of cares and knowledge and get excited, and hopefully they can experience them for themselves by visiting a rainforest, by seeing this wildlife with their own eyes, and they will know how spectacular our world is, just like Sir David Attenborough has been advocating for his whole life. We have a wonderful planet, we have a wonderful nature, and we have to protect them. This is our last chance. We cannot afford to lose all of these species and so on and so forth. It will decimating our future as well, our futures generations futures as well. So yeah, so yes, please write
Yes.
about it.
Yay, that's great. Yeah, I bet
getting-
not many people know also that Wong has a stick insect named after him. So there's a story in its own right.
Really?
Honor.
That's great. Wong, by how much is the habitat of sun bears reducing each year? And what are their numbers like in the wild? What have you seen in terms of the decline of their population?
Yeah, so in different countries across Southeast Asia, different countries have different deforestation rate. So for Borneo, where I'm in right now, about half of the forest has already been deforested, already gone. And these are the oldest rainforests in the world. And once it is gone, it is gone. And then all of these forests are habitat for the sun bear. So just by looking at deforestation itself, although we do not have the real numbers or estimate numbers of how many bears are there, just by looking at the habitat loss, we know that sun bears are not doing well. And then right now we know how is their density. We don't have a number, so we do not know how many bears are there in the world. But last year, the West Malaysian Authority, the Department of National Parks and Wildlife and National Parks, have put out a number saying that there's only 300 to 500 sun bear left in West Malaysia, and that numbers is very worrying. 3 to 500, and given that right now we know that they have a very slow reproduction rate. One female can only produce 3 or 4 cubs in her whole lifetime. So every time when there's a bears being poached or being kept in as pets, it means a loss of harm to the entire population, and that worries me. So by all this anecdotal information, we have to be very, very cautious, and we have to be very cautious and have to stop all of this human cause mortality, and have to reduce or minimize or eliminate it all at once, because they already being decimated by habitat loss and human expansion.
Sarah, when you visited Borneo all those years ago, and in the subsequent visits that you've had, what's your impression of what the government is doing to save the habitat, to save the forest? And also, how serious is the government over there about saving the sun bear and, putting its money where its mouth is, I suppose, to stop people from poaching and trading in wildlife?
I guess Wong I'd ask you to add to this answer, but what I've learned is that the government is doing what most governments are doing. It has been stumbling along in the process over the past few years, but is gradually learning better how to care for the environment and the wildlife as well. So the Sun Bear Centre that Wong created and runs is on government land, and it's supported by the Sabah Wildlife Department and the Forestry Department. So they're doing quite a lot of work there. They're also putting conferences together to ask for help on anti-poaching processes and things like that. So I think things are improving quite drastically along the way, but there's still a long way to go. There's still poachers plying their trades in the forests in Borneo, and those things need to be addressed very, very quickly, as Wong was saying. Wong, would you like to add to that answer?
Yeah, I think the governments right now, especially Malaysia, realize the importance of biodiversity of all this wildlife. So we are definitely heading to a right direction, but we have to move fast because, as we speak, there are still like poachers, from Indochina regions, set snares and try to capture or last uh, tigers in West Malaysia or sun bears here, blah blah blah. So that is still ongoing. So we have to be brave. We have to be brave, and confronting all this illegal activity. If we not brave enough to confront all this illegal activity, then they'll be gone. I think for me. For everybody as well, I think the next 10 years will be very, very crucial. If we success, then they will live for a long, long time. If we fail, then they will be just like our Sumatran rhinoceros, which officially gone country extinct last year. So it's a very sad thing that we experience. But all in all, there are more and more people, with more and more government supported programs, cares about environment, which is good, this is something that we have to do it. Otherwise, we won't have a bright future.
And Sarah, there's a question from Jennifer for you. She's saying, how did Judi Dench get to support your book? How did that come about?
Oh, I feel so proud of that. It's amazing. In 2017, as I said, I helped Wong release 2 rescued bears back into the wild. The following year, Judi Dench had the same wonderful experience as I did, releasing rescued bears with Wong for the filming of a documentary series that she had called Judi Dench's Wild Borneo Adventures. I think it's still available online if you want to see her. Wong told me an interesting story about that, because Judi Dench didn't actually know she was going to release bears until it was being filmed on camera with him actually asking her, do you want to come and release some bears? So it's a real surprise on her face in the documentary. So once that happened and the book was coming along, Wong was kind enough to connect me with Judi Dench, who so kindly gave us the honor of endorsing the book. And I couldn't be prouder that she's been able to do that.
Well, that's a lovely connection. I reckon it's time to give away another book. What about you,
Sarah?
Oh,
let's do that.
Let's do that. So if you've put your name in the comments this afternoon as you've been watching along, we're going to choose another winner now. And
here we go. Here comes the envelope. All right. So our winner of the last book that we're going to draw today is Rose Feely. I don't know if you're actually listening, but if you are, put a comment of how you feel about that. That'd be awesome. And Emily's just given me some other details I want to just share with you too. She's just told me that at the moment on Amazon, we're at #1 in the biology of bears. Yes. Yay. Well done. And we're also in #3 in bear biology. So there's a number of different ways of looking at those rankings. But thank you, everyone who's helping us, get up those rankings. It's fabulous.
That's fantastic. I've been reading comments from one of our viewers this afternoon who says, oh, it's so hard not to stop reading this book. I've been rationing myself 1 chapter a day, but I can't stop reading.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice.
It is lovely. Well, it's time to wrap it up this afternoon, and thank everybody who's joined us for the launch of your book, Sarah Pye, Saving Sun Bears. It's just been so wonderful to be a part of this afternoon. So thank you for inviting me along to share the journey.
Thank you, Annie. I'd also like to thank everyone who's been a part of it. And there's so many people around the world that have helped me put this story together, and people that are helping get the word out about it now. So everyone has done their bit to, as Wong says, do what you do best.
Now, you're going to be interviewing Wong again this Sunday afternoon, aren't you, as part of the World Environment Day program?
I will. I'll be interviewing him about the biodiversity in the Bornean rainforest. So that's going to be an interesting discussion as well.
That's going to be fantastic. And for people who still haven't got their hands on a copy, they're highly sought after. SavingSunBears.com is where you'll find it and find out more about Sarah's journey. You can also go to the Facebook of the same name, Facebook page, Saving Sun Bears. And you can get ebooks, hard copies and audio copies. They're all available through major retailers. And don't forget to tune in for that interview with Wong on Sunday afternoon as part of World Environment Day celebrations for the Sunshine Coast. The theme this year is biodiversity. And I can't think of a better way to launch World Environment Day on the coast today with Sarah Pye's book, Saving Sun Bears. So thank you so much to everyone who's joined us from around the world. I've been reading your comments and people are loving the book, Sarah. And many thanks to our organisers too at the Sunshine Coast Environment Council who've helped put this event together this afternoon. Annie Gaffney's my name. Thank you so much for joining us and congratulations once again to Sarah Pye for Saving Sun Bears and Dr Wong. Thank you.
Welcome to Borneo. This dense rainforest acts as the lungs of our planet. It is also home to the threatened Malayan sun bear. Adult sun bears are killed for their gallbladder and paws, ingredients in Chinese medicine. Traumatized orphaned cubs are abandoned or sold into the illegal pet trade. Dr. Wong, the Malaysian founder of the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Center, is on a quest to save the world's smallest bear from extinction and release rescued bears back into the wild. Join Australian author Sarah Pye on a heartwarming journey through his extraordinary life and meet sun bear characters who owe him their freedom. This is his story and theirs.